If there is one thing that online tutors hate, it's getting broke parents on sales calls. I've spent the last 2 years obsessing over exactly why this keeps happening. Why can so many tutors get parents on sales calls, but then the parents they talk to cannot afford the services, are not that interested, and they give you 10 different objections. And I promise you, if you actually watch this video till the end and you apply the steps that I show you, it is going to be virtually impossible to end up getting objections like, that's out of my budget, I need to think about it, or that's expensive. So when it comes to getting broke parents on your sales calls, there are 4 possibilities that could be going wrong. 1, your sales skills suck. 2, you are who you attract, meaning you are not presenting yourself as the type of person that would attract that type of parent. 3, your messaging is off, so that means what you're saying and the words you're speaking attract the wrong type of person. And 4, you can actually hard exclude these parents within the actual settings in the ads manager. And I'm gonna be going over each and every one of these. First of all, we need to acknowledge sales skills. You might think that the parents you're getting on sales calls don't have the money, but you have to understand that money is the best excuse the parent can give. You see, if they say that the program's bad, that they don't want it, that they don't like it, it feels a bit more combative, and people generally don't want to be combative. And price is the best excuse that someone can give in order for you to stop pursuing them. Like if someone tells you, I don't have the money, that's too expensive for me, that has the best success rate in terms of getting you to stop pressuring them into buying, okay? So we need to acknowledge that this is one of the most common excuses that parents who do have money give when you do not convey your value effectively, or when you don't conduct the sales call well enough. In fact, a lot of the times with our paying clients, when we actually set up their ads, they come back after like 2 or 3 sales calls and they say, oh, the leads are not qualified, or oh, the parents don't have the money. And I look at the sales calls and there is no discovery, there's no depth there. Like you don't talk about what kind of problems they have, why they want to get the good score they want to get. Why is that so important? And you don't spot the red flags early on. When somebody, for example, tells you, our preparation for the SAT is going well, you do not see that as a red flag. But in fact, that is a major red flag that you need to dig into then and there. You need to address all possible objections in discovery, and you need to structure your discovery so that every single objection that you continuously get gets brought up then and there before you even mention the price, okay? The second thing is you probably don't know how to objection handle for jack shit. Most people, when they hear an objection, they start saying things in the hopes that the things they're saying, the words they are saying, will convince the other person otherwise. You cannot convince anyone of anything. The only thing you can do is point out indiscrepancies through questioning to get them to tell you that it might actually be a good idea to do this, right? For example, when somebody says, oh, our SAT prep is going very well so far. You cannot move on from this pitch, tell them a high price point like 2 to 3K, and then expect them to be like, okay, cool, here's 2 to 3K, even though our SAT prep is going well. That's not how this works. You need to address that then and there. Okay, what do you mean it's going well? Okay, I guess what's the rationale in you hopping on this call, looking for external help? Why not just double down on what you're currently doing since it's going well? And then they will tell you what the rationale is, why what they're doing already isn't working enough. And again, sales is a never-ending learning curve. There is such a high ceiling for sales skills. Even if you've been doing this for 10 years, you can still improve. Sales basically has an infinite skill ceiling. You can always get better at sales. Now, assuming that your sales process is good, and this is a massive assumption, by the way, okay? Do not overlook this step. Again, this is the #1 cause for our clients, which do get qualified leads, when they say that the leads are broke. The sales process just isn't dialed in, and then we look at the sales calls, we give them feedback, they improve in sales, and they get to close the exact same leads on 10 times the price. So again, this is a massive assumption if we were gonna assume that your sales process is good enough. But I digress. Let's say it is. The second thing we need to look at is you attract who you are. Your avatar, the clothes you wear, the background you have, the watch you have on, the way you speak, your skin color, your haircut, everything is conveying a message. And a lot of you just put on a random shirt, have a random background, have a random camera and a random microphone, and it ends up looking like complete shit. I know, because I coach a lot of you, and what a lot of you come up with when you film the ads, when you film the VSL, is absolutely horrible. Okay? The frame that you need to approach this from is, would a massive household name company have a VSL that looks like mine? If the answer is a clear no, then you need to make it better. Because we can talk about, oh, the parents don't have money, or oh, we just need to raise prices and you can collect high ticket all we want. But if your brand image does not match the words you are saying, it doesn't matter what you're saying. Your ads, your VSL, your pre-call homework, everything needs to be dialed in. And not only does it need to be dialed in, I can have on a very fancy suit, a very nice background, and the best camera there is. I will still attract a certain type of avatar because of the way I look. I am a male, I am more or less white, and I have some sort of accent, which I'm not even sure exactly what it is myself. I guess I could work on my accent, but it's gonna take a while, right? I can't really change my skin color. So you need to look at these things objectively, and you need to split test this, meaning hire an actor for your ads. Hire someone who's of different gender. Hire someone who is of different ethnicity. Hire someone who has a different accent. Again, people will resonate with a certain type of look, not just a certain type of messaging. This is extremely important and nobody talks about this. A white man will attract totally different leads than, for example, a black woman or even a black man or a Indian man, especially if there's accents involved. You cannot overlook this fact. So what can you actually do? Like I said, you can hire an actor. Ideally, you want to test something completely different. So for me, if I was going to test an actor, I would definitely test a female, and I would test someone who either has a strong American or a strong British accent. None of this, I don't know what even my accent is bullshit, right? Like I honestly don't know what my accent is. And when I would test the actor, I would give them the same exact script that I've given myself for the ads, right? So you want to isolate the script and you just want to test a different face with, you know, ideally different clothes and different background, just to see what that gets you and how far that gets you. Now, if you've ever searched for actors on Fiverr, you know that the good ones are gonna charge you a lot of money. And I mean like $200 for a single ad that's like 30 seconds long. God forbid you wanna do a VSL. Like we've had some people quote us like $1,000 to $2,000 for them to film a 10-minute VSL. Like this is a side tangent, but I don't know where these people get these prices from. Now, luckily, there are AI tools. Now, you need to use a combination of 3 total tools, which are gonna cost you about roughly $20 to film an ad. Now, my clients already know exactly which tool that is, all 3 of them obviously, and we have a tutorial and SOPs on how to use each and every one of them, where you can literally test different skin colors, different genders, different accents, different backgrounds, everything within seconds for literally $20 an ad. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna give you this on YouTube here for free. You're gonna have to pay me for that information. But anyway, you can still go ahead and pay $1,000 for an actor if you want. Now let's talk messaging. Not only do you attract a certain type of avatar with how you look, you also obviously attract a certain type of avatar with how you speak. So let's start with the most important thing, the offer. If you are still talking about hours of tutoring, I will tutor your kid in math, for example, or in English, or God forbid that you have 3 subjects at the same time. None of this is gonna work and you're gonna forever be stuck with broke parents. You need to clarify exactly what the type of outcome you're gonna get these people, exactly which grade you target or year, exactly which subject you target, and exactly which exam. Now that we have that baseline defined, we also need to talk about why is this important. Now, I'm gonna need you to use your brain for this. Why would someone who has money, let's say, what's your ideal parent? Let's say a doctor, an engineer, some well-paying job, right? Obviously, if we don't want broke parents, we want parents with good paying jobs. So what do these people want? Well, first, they value education, right? So again, we need to show them a transformational type offer because that's what they resonate with. That's what they want their kids to get, right? But why do they want a good score? Why would an engineer or a doctor want their kid to score well on the SAT? Well, the SAT dictates which college you can get into, which university you can get into. Okay, what kind of universities do these people want to get into? Well, in the US, Ivy League universities, most likely. And even all across the world, they want to get into STEM subjects. 99% of the time, they want to get into law, medicine, or any STEM subjects, right? Engineering, anything like that. Now, again, I need you to use your brain for this. You need to define exactly what do these people want. You need to imagine your perfect client avatar, someone who is a doctor themselves, someone who is an engineer themselves, or whatever. What do they want for their children? what type of score, what type of college, name the colleges, name the actual colleges in the ad script, and then go beyond that and then go into career paths. What kind of career paths do these people want their kid to get into? This is all extremely, extremely important. Children are a mirror of their parent, right? So their kids are going to more or less go into the same things that their parents are in. And if you want to stop talking to broke parents, you need to start thinking, what do these parents do for work that makes them not broke? And then you reverse engineer that into what does the kid need to do in order to also not be broke? And there you go. Lastly, in messaging, I need to talk about you shooting yourself in the foot. Please do not mention that your services are affordable. Who looks for affordability? Broke people, more or less, right? Like somebody that has a lot of money usually prioritizes results. Like sure, they want to pay as little as possible. Like nobody likes paying, in general. Like I want to keep my money, thank you very much. But if I'm looking for a solution, I usually look for the best solution, not the most affordable. So for the love of God, please stop mentioning anything related to affordability in your messaging, because you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. And lastly, if none of these work, again, this is a big if. If your sales process is very, very good and you are 100% confident, you have refined it and you have no problem closing parents that have the money. No issue at all. You have tested different avatars, whether that's actors or AI, of different skin colors, different accents, different genders, right? You've tested all that out, nothing gets you better leads. And you've also tested better messaging, where you've tried to attract higher quality people through mentioning STEM careers, through mentioning their universities, through speaking to them how they want to be spoken to. None of this is working. There is one last thing that we can still try, and that is going to be hard exclusions in the actual ads manager. So what you can do through the use of conditional logic is you can ask people questions, and then you can tell Facebook which of these answers results in a qualified lead. For example, this is a very simple example that please don't use this doesn't actually work, but just so you understand, if you were to, and again, don't do this, if you were to ask someone, how much are you willing to spend on tutoring, right? $0, $50, $200, $1,000. You can then tell Facebook through conditional logic which of these answers results in a qualified lead, and everybody that does not click on something that results in a qualified lead gets thrown out and doesn't count, meaning that Facebook is gonna then selectively target the people that choose the correct answer, okay? Now again, don't ask this, because this is not gonna work. You can't just ask people how much do you want to spend. Again, this comes back to what I've said earlier. Nobody likes spending money, okay? Like if you ask me, like how much do you want to pay for a car? Well, can I get it for free? Is the car good? Give it to me for free if possible. Now, if you actually tell them which car, which brand, what the specifications are, then I might actually be able to tell you like, okay, I'm willing to spend up to this much. But I really need all the details to be able to tell you this. Everything else before I have all the details is just guessing, and it's just me being a dickhead and saying like, well, I mean, I don't know nothing about the car, like give it to me for free, I guess. And that's exactly what happens, right? Someone sees your ad, you cannot just ask them how much are you willing to spend on tutoring? Because it's like, well, can I get it for free? I don't know anything about this. Like, why should I spend on this? And they won't spend on it because they don't know anything about it. So you're gonna have to be a lot more creative than just asking them, what's your budget? Again, like budgeting questions don't work at all. You need to ask these type of questions indirectly, okay? You can ask them, again, this is not the best example, and I'm not gonna give you the best examples because that's for my clients, but just to show you roughly what direction to go in, you can ask them like what field they are in, like what job they work, what fields they want their kid to get in, what school are they currently in? Are you currently in like a private school or a public school? People who are in private schools usually have a lot of money because private schools are expensive, right? So there's things like that you can do, where you can ask them how much money they have indirectly through questioning other things. But make sure to also, be aware that people don't just want to tell you how much money they're making. So you need to have like a good excuse. For tutoring, for example, you can technically ask them like, are you in a public school or a private school right now? They can kind of rationalize that in their mind, like, why is this guy asking me this? I mean, I guess it's important for how he's gonna tutor me. Okay, fair enough, I'm gonna answer. Right? Versus if you ask them like, what's your monthly salary? It's like, why does this tutor need to know my monthly salary? No, fuck you. I'm not telling you this, right? So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to skip all the guessing and you want my team's help implementing all of this and diagnosing which one of these you're actually deficient in and what you need to focus on, and if you want us to implement absolutely all of this completely done for you, there is a link in the description of this video where you can book a call with my team and we'll go over exactly what you need to do in order to grow your business. But this is only for people who are serious and want to actually grow their business as soon as possible.